What's up, buddy? Let's check out the news, man. It's been a while, is it not? Or it's been slowing down. So let's get into it, man. See what we got here. Of course, I'll go through the small stuff, but real quick, not spend too much time because it could be useful. We got the rounds being let off on a commerce in Saint-Leonard. So that's the old school Italian neighborhood, the first area that they moved in. They congregated there, and they have business there. But the thing is, on the other side, there's the mafia that was over there, still is, and so we're always suspicious when rounds go off. But that's not enough. That's not enough. You can't just assume. However, when I get rounds being let off on a commerce, then I get very suspicious. And I give a shout out to Bull, Ryan C, and of course, Mr. Rodney Stubbert. What's up, buddy? Yeah, Rodney, check this out. Looks like the mob neighborhood, the commerces are being targeted. At least we have one example. We don't have that many examples these days. However, we did have a few. Again, same times. 3:40 in the a.m. On Rue Jarry in Saint-Leonard. I call it Saint Leonardo. I try to convert it into that so it sounds more catchy. So I'm gonna call it Saint Leonardo. We have 3:40 in the a.m. I don't think they're gonna have any more information than that. No one's injured. The usual. Okay. What's going on here? Oh. So they're saying the police of Montreal has avoided two events, major events, on the night of Thursday to Friday. What are these major events? Of course, I wish we didn't get the photo so that I could just play that game with you where I guess what it was, but this explains itself. You got, I guess, fires, burning vehicles. I guess they were targeting the first one here, and by consequence, the one behind, also burned from the heat. You see, it's the front side here. Now, this one happened at 11 p.m., and the neighborhood is in Côte des Neiges. Where are we? Let's see if we got anything extra here. But he said two events on the night of Thursday to Friday. This is 8th of August. It's been a week? In the same night of Thursday to Friday, they said there was two events, major events. First, a fire on a car in Côte des Neiges, surely this one. And a couple of hours later, gunshots being let off on a commerce in Saint-Leonard. So that's the other one we just spoke about. Two events, same evening. Coincidence or no? Now, I tell you what, in about a year, even maybe now it's old, maybe a year and a half ago, at a certain, I'm hesitating to say last year. No, I think it was a year and a half ago. But we did have two events on the same night, and they were definitely linked. But it was in the red zone. It was when they were targeting a business partner for the Hells Angels. First, they burned the commerce. I think he was tied to a warehouse or company. I think he had something to do with windows, like a real estate thing, perhaps, or car windows, something like that. But for sure, it had to do with glass. And they burned the vehicles in the parking lot of that business. And then a couple of minutes or an hour or two later, it couldn't be a couple of hours. It had to be like within the hour or something. Then they sprayed the house of the guy. They also sprayed his house. So that does happen. Two in the same. When it's two in the same evening, you gotta be suspicious if it's in the same town, in my opinion. Which we do have. We have Côte des Neiges here, Saint Leonardo here, both in the same city. But Montreal's a lot of action. Maybe there's just a chance it's two different events. But I'll be honest with you. My personal opinion, I would go on it and say they're linked. Me personally, I would do it. So we're not gonna get more details. So one was at, you could see one's at 11 p.m. If they're linked. One's at 11 p.m. The other one is about 4 say 4 hours. Is that it? 4 hours and 40 minutes later. Now, mind you, there's no traffic at night. So if you do drive from, so which one they did first? The 11 p.m. one? It's the Côte des Neiges one. So Côte des Neiges is in. There's always someone who's gonna nitpick me. So I'm afraid of saying it's more west, it's more south. I'm just afraid of you, man. I'm just gonna. It's not far. You basically, man, if it happened at 11 p.m., you can drive from Côte des Neiges to Saint-Leonard. I guess you're gonna catch the 40 highway from there to go east. You'll try to get into the 40 highway, although it's not in Côte des Neiges. I don't know which. I forgot. You gotta first hit another highway. Maybe you gotta hit the 15, I think, and then the 15 north, and then you take the change to the 40, and then you'll take the 40 east. It's not a complicated ride as long as there's no traffic. We're talking about 11 p.m. here, so the thing is 4 hours and a half apart. You know, if you do one job and you're going straight to the next one, it should not take you 4 hours and a half. Did they go home and settle down, change clothes, or grab more stuff and then go do the second mission if they're linked? That means they had a 4 hours and a half, 4 hours and a half span, a lot of time there, time span, if they're linked. You know, just stuff to notice here. What else do we got? Any more info? So the Côte des Neiges one, they're just saying they believe it's criminal. It's got to be. This one's the business that they sprayed at 3:40 in the a.m. Saint-Leonard. Now I was looking for the business name here. You know, would have been very useful, but it's kind of. I don't think it's a flash. I think this is just a light, because you'd expect a banner on top here. No, I would expect a nice flashy banner. What business name? You know, promo. I don't see anything. It's so bland. And looking at it here, they don't describe the business as far as I can tell. But looking at it like this, you can't tell me this doesn't look like a sort of, I don't know if you say it in English, a terrace? I don't know how you guys say a patio. Sorry, lack of words. But I think I see tables behind this. You see, first you see the sort of fence. Behind the fence, you see the chairs and tables. You look at the windows. It looks to me, it looks like a bar or a cafe or something along those lines. No, what do you guys think? That's what it seems to me. And then they targeted that type of business. It starts to make more and more realistic. Become more realistic. It makes sense. I should say it makes more sense. But that's as far as I could tell from the photo. And they didn't really describe anything. And then you have Generation Street, and there's a lot of this type of business there, you know. Not every neighborhood has stuff like this, really, you know. But certain areas have plenty of those. So it's fitting that it's on Jarry East and Saint-Leonard. Let's try and see. They found shells, you know, the classic, nothing special there. We'd expect that. No one was hurt. Okay. No info, no arrest, nothing. Now, something I love reading the comments. See if we can get any extras here. Nothing. I'm gonna skip if it says nothing. You know, not to waste too much time. These people, man. Oh man. All right, I'll read because you'll say, what the hell, man? So some guy says, there's always that guy, you know, says, soon we will have the same situation as in Haiti. Gangs will dominate everything. We must act now because of our justice system is failing, you know. But this has been happening before gangs were coming in, this type of stuff. It's nothing really new. It's just happening a lot more, but you can't say we don't know yet. You know, maybe it's mobster on mobster crime, and right now we've had a few of those. You're gonna see. We're gonna actually read something, and you won't be able to say, "Oh man, this has to be street gangs causing terror only." It probably is. There's a great chance that it is, but they're not the only ones. They didn't start off out of nowhere like this. They learned from the best, and we're gonna hear about. We're going to go back in history, and you're going to find out some stuff about the mob. I'm going to learn with you. I'm no expert. I don't have any extra knowledge than you. I'm trying to learn. All right, and you'll see, man. It'll come in. Just see if we catch anything extra here. Okay, everything else I'm going to skip. Good. Next one, a suspect arrested for murder in Ontario of a Montreal rapper. Okay, yeah, we read about that. I don't care about if it's like a rapper killing another rapper because they're talking ish online. I don't care. That's not, we're focused on the big stuff here. The thing is, I want to see, and we've read it. That's why I have this article here. We read the previous. This is a follow up, and we know that this has somehow linked to the street gang in Montreal. And street, one of them, I think, was Profit Boys. And we found out that BFM, they contracted, I think, BFM to come here to do a hit. So everything becomes important if you can find out if there's a street gang link there. It means you can learn more about the landscape. So I don't like to skip this. So, okay, so we did already the analysis, or my dumb analysis of this photo. I won't do it again. It was a bunch of jokes. But we remember this guy got killed so based on my memory, this guy got killed recently, and then they just mentioned it, right? He got killed in Ontario. The rumor was that he kept going back to Ontario, but someone might have followed him there because he got killed over there. But they said they believed it was his enemies in Montreal. I think this is the same guy they said weeks before he got killed. Don't quote me on the weeks. Maybe it was months. But they went. Yes, I think that's what it was. There was a party where street gangs were meeting and having a reunion or celebrating or something. But he had beef with somebody else, and I think he beat him up. He beat that somebody up bad. And this was retaliation for that, and now he got killed in Ontario. But they had to know his movements, or they had to know he was there to get him over there, right? So I guess someone got arrested. Is that it? Yeah, suspect arrested. Bradley Lucate Nicholas was arrested. And he had a tool on him when he was arrested under his clothes. Gotcha. I'm not going to read the whole thing. He was arrested. I'm just looking for any extra. There you go. See, this is what I'm here for. So the guy who got killed, Bentley Jean, who had a criminal background, he was associated with Zone 43. So maybe it wasn't Profit Boys. I got confused. It was Zone 43. Sorry. I've done these two. I'll sometimes mix them up. Street Gang of the Montreal North. Okay. All right. So we got the 20-year-old who killed him. He got shackled or arrested in Laval. Okay. Gotcha. Can we get any information to learn something? I don't really care too much about these two storylines. I just want to learn about the landscape because it's going to be useful. Because remember, guys, these are the gangs that will be used by the Mafia, perhaps, or the Hells Angels, but not to do work for them. Might be. If they were in the past. Maybe they're not today. I forget which, but one of these two is against the Hells Angels now because they allied themselves with the BFM. I can't recall. I think it was Profit Boys, I think. But Zone 43 was Montreal North. And at a certain point, they may have even been allied to them. Or maybe not. I cannot recall. There's just too many storylines popping. But it's when you talk about street gangs, there's lots of small ones, inconsequential. Then there's the ones at the top that are consequential in the history of this Montreal underworld. And when we're going to talk about Zone 43, we need to mention them. It becomes very important. So you could say sort of also a prison gang, you could say, because they'll go in prison, their boys are there. This is not nothing. It's not just a bunch of kids in the corner of the street. There's people behind this, maybe much older than them in their 40s, that were gangbanging a long time ago. And we're talking about gangbanging. We're not talking about sitting in the corner and just acting tough. Like you can make a phone call and have someone drop some stoop fires at your door, whatever you want type of thing. This is organized stuff. And boys in prison, etc. Moving pounds. So anyways, going back. So I had to tell you why I'm even looking at this. So we want to learn. We want to get any extra information. If not, we'll move. The other two accomplices, Brian Emmanuel Fuentes Gramajo, 23, and Jimmy Prudent. So Jimmy Prudent, his last name is Prudent. He still got arrested. So he tried his best to be prudent, but is that Jimmy Okay, damn, I wanted to make a joke. Because with tattoos like that, you're not very prudent. But I didn't get the opportunity. My man in this photo, what's his name? This is the Fuentes Gramajo. He was wanted for the murder of Kashim Jamal Bentley. So he was not on his own. A bunch of people, nice guys, with the tattoos all over the place. Has the nice old beard, unshaven, whatever. The neck tattoos, and the Jesus Christ cross right where there should be a teardrop for prison gangs saying I slayed somebody. I got a body under my belt. That guy, exactly who you'd want your innocent little angel dating. And you imagine she shows up and says, "Daddy, I like Gramajo." Then you're in trouble. Street gang wars. Fuentes, Gramajo, and Prudent have have accumulated appearances in court in the last few years. Fuentes Gramajo was condemned for possessing a fire tool, a decision in 2021. We learned that the accused was tied to Zone 43 for numerous years. And there was numerous shootings in Montreal as well as Laval. He continued to belong to this gang, etc., etc. So yeah, you see. Okay, we're not going to get more info than that, but settling of scores. Let's go next. Now, I'm not going to spend time on this, but just an update. Do you remember we had the shooting about a year and a half or so ago? There was a family that came back from a picnic, and they were minding their own business, and all of a sudden, I think some gangster ran up to them, and he tried to hijack their car. But that guy, no, I'm not. Wait, I'm not. I think I'm confusing it with something else. There was a gangster who got into an argument. He was not nobody. He was a gangster related or associate of the Rolling 90s Crip. If you remember Rolling 90s Crip, you had the Hell's Angel who got killed in Ontario in that gambling ring. Well, the guys who dispatched him, the guy who dispatched the killer, he was a Rolling 90s. He was the partner of Arab Power leader who's in maximum prison right now. That Rolling 90s Crip leader. Now, his gang, one of his guys, see, everything ties some way. I'm trying to make you understand why all this matters. But you remember one of his gang members, we went to Laval because that's their area. He went there, and I don't know, he went there with a fire tool, and he went and he had an argument with another person, and not just some stranger. It was his buddy or his friend or someone he always knew. Not just a brand new person. So he went there, and he had an argument with him. He was really pissed at the other guy. He was very angry. And I don't know why. I guess we know he was angry at him, but he pulled out his tool and he started spraying the dude, or they started spraying at each other, perhaps. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while now. Memory's not too good. But it was something along those lines. And then cops got called. Cops arrived. At the same time, this family was coming back from a picnic. At the same time. They were parked nearby. Now, this part, I'm not 100. I could be imagining this. But I think the guy was running away from the cops. I think he may have tried to hijack this family's car or something, and they denied it to him in the moment. And then the cops saw him with the family, and the cops did not hesitate to let off rounds. So imagine the family's right in the middle. Cops get a call that there's a shooter. Cops arrive. They don't give a damn. And they see an Arabic family next to this gangster, and it's clear it's children with their dad, whatever. But the cops didn't give a F. They started spraying the whole street. They got into a gunfight with the dude. And the dude was spraying back at the cops. Rounds were flying across the street on both directions. And unfortunately, I think the dad got hit. Was it the dad? I believe it was the dad. The dad or the son. But there was the daughter, there was the son, there was the dad. And I think the dad I think what happened is dad covered the son to protect him from the rounds, right? And the rounds, guess which rounds hit the family? Obviously, it was from the cops' side. The cops were spraying in their direction. So the dad got hit. And then when all the smoke cleared, whatever, the cops arrive. You know, the approach, right? They approach, and it's obvious. You see a family, and you see the dad is on the ground, and you know he might be dying, whatever. And the cops are like, "Move! Don't move! Stay right there!" Dude's laying on the stomach, man. He's bleeding, and you just spray the family, and then you're telling him don't move. And you know what I mean? The procedures, they treating him like a criminal. Like, dude needs help. It's an emergency, you know. This is the worst thing you could be possibly doing for them, and they have nothing to do with all this. They're innocent victims of all this scenario. Now, that was the plot when me and you we found out about it, when we read about it. Now here's an update. Shooting in Dollars des Ormeaux in the West Island, rolling 90s area, if you will. A family hurt by rounds is suing the police. So now they're like, no way, man. You know, usually I'd say they're milking this, but in this case, I'm with these guys, you know. Like, I completely respect. It's like you can't get away with this, man. It just cannot happen. They're suing them for $6.5 million. There you go. We're not going to spend more time than this to read it, but yeah, that's the family, you know. Thankfully, they're not dead. So it happened a year ago. All right. The police shot 40 rounds, man. 40 rounds. Not going to spend any time here, but I just wanted to give you that update. They're going to sue him. Let's see if they win. All right, next story. 7 years of prison and the loss of his home for having frauded 70 companies. Quebec companies. I'm not going to... It's a big one, I find, you know. I'd like to read it, but we have other stuff that we should be reading. So I'm going to probably skip this one because we were lacking news. Sometimes, you know, what I do is I collect them and I say I'm going to read them. And if I get too many, I have to eliminate some of them. But I found this one very daring. But if we didn't have anything else, I'll read this in the future. I'll just keep this aside. But I found this guy was so freaking daring. Let's go to the... So it's unrelated to our interests, you know, our main stuff, which is organized crime, gangs, mafia, shit, things like that. So I only reserve this when we don't have news, you know. But here I am. I'm here. I'll skip it because I do have some stuff for you. All right. It says the rounds are rounds being let off, or is it? So rounds being let off in the old Montreal here. This one was even older, July 28th. A series of gunshots were sprayed near Jacques-Cartier in the old Montreal. Do we have people? Oh, look, they're showing you the area in the map. So it's right here. On the docks, I guess, near the docks. It happened a bit before 11 p.m. after a show. Okay, I'm going to, if it's not, someone got an argument, maybe, something like that. We don't got any details. All right, I'll skip. A Montrealer is wanted and two suspects, a Montrealer is arrested and two suspects are wanted. Oh, it's the story of Little Bentley. So that's the guy. Yeah, never mind that one. Okay, arrest mandate against Misery. The person's nickname is Misery, an important actor in the Blood Family Mafia, the Quebec gang. So now we're going back to Quebec. Who is this man? Oh, look at that. For once we got a name here. We've been talking about the North Coast Corridor, and remember we told you there's the red zone and there's the North Coast Corridor, but we never had a name except Alboivin for that. So here you have a name, and they're actually giving, they're not saying Quebec City, but they're saying the North Coast. So I guess Misery is a North Coast and controlling territories, selling stupefiers, whatever that is for the for the Blood Family Mafia. Mandate was released for the 27-year-old on the 21st of July, and 3 individuals were arrested. They appeared in court, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, they're not giving us more. They're all tied to the Blood Family Mafia. That's all you need to know. So they're still attacking the Blood Family Mafia to dismantle them. All right, the main stories. The stuff I actually wanted to look at, to learn. absence of remorse, no liberation, or let's say no quick liberation for a Hell's Angel who became an informant, who was asking for a final chance. I like this. Forgive me, I'm vaping. I've been holding off for a while, man. Or just one puff. So here you have Dayle Fredette. So we talked about Dayle Fredette. This story was, most of you were not here. This was about maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, perhaps. It was in the beginning of this channel. I covered Dayle Fredette. I cannot even remember the story. I think I could be, I don't even want to dare because it's been too long. I think it was a Quebec chapter. I think it was. But let's read. Dayle Fredette could be liberated in 2034. So he might be forced to wait until then, before being eligible for conditional liberation. So here's a camera footage inside prison interrogation. And we have July 22nd of 2011. 14 years ago, pretty much. So that's probably Dayle Fredette right here. A Hells Angels who became an informant, was condemned for murder, has failed his attempt to invoke the clause of last chance to get a liberation, a quicker liberation. Because he seems to display a lack or an absence of remorse in regards to his crimes. Now, his crimes, I'm pretty certain I could tell you, they're probably alluding to he killed people. Let's read. Dayle Fredette has still work to do, personal work, whatever they call it these days. Dayle, or Little Dayle, is behind the bars since he was shackled in Operation SharQc. So I guess that's him. Here's the tattoos of Dayle Fredette right here. Remember that SharQc was one of the biggest anti-Quebec, anti-biker operations of all time in the province. Maybe even Canada. He pled guilty to plotting and murder, premeditated, of Danny Baudin, there you go, that happened in 2000. So that was like 25 years ago, a quarter century ago. Damn. 5 other accusations of homicide targeting him were abandoned. 5 others. So they were abandoned. Doesn't mean he didn't do them. It does not mean he did them either. They could be, they couldn't prove it. That could be it. They just couldn't prove it, so they abandoned it. Or literally, they accused him of, and some of them he did not deserve. It was not true. It was unfounded, and he literally didn't do them. Or plotted them. So here they say 16 murders. Let us note, however, that his collaboration with the investigators, Fredette admitted having participated in the commission of 16 murders for the account of the Hells Angels, which he was one. In the facts, the biker had to wait at least 25 years, or, in other words, until April of 2034, before going in front of the parole board to plead his case. However, he still had a chance to by chance be able to plead for the clause of last chance. So this clause of last chance means you can go out, it says here, 10 years earlier, or maybe it's for him, it's 10 years earlier. I don't know how this works. But the clause of last chance, there's a chance you could come out earlier than what you're supposed to have gotten. Welcome to Canada. But he says that this article of the criminal code was abolished since the Harper government. So before we had Trudeau, it was Harper. So that gives you the timeline. And Trudeau's been here for way too long. But now sorry to call you, I hate to do this, but I'm going to try to control myself. But you guys did a wonderful job. Trudeau ruined everything. You guys had the genius of voting for his right-hand man, who's here now. You know, after 2 failed attempts, you still managed to vote the same people to come back. You know, I'm really disappointed, man. But to be honest, I don't think it makes a difference who you vote for. It's all a scam, in my opinion. But still, he came back after. Il revenait aussi. Oh, sorry. See, sometimes in French it just doesn't. It doesn't read what you read. There's another sense sometimes. So it came back to the judge, bien-aimé, to evaluate if Fredette. So the judge's name is well-loved. That's literally his name. So it came back to the judge, well-loved, to evaluate if Fredette would plead his case to a jury. So I guess the judge denied it. He said, no way, or something like that. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yo, man, you know, what a name. Well-loved. He's not well-loved by everybody. He doesn't try to live up to... He didn't try to live up to that name. Not for Dayle Fredette. So the man, 55 years old, has accumulated 10 infraction reports or disciplinary reports while he was in jail. 10 of them. In his, what was it now? 12. How long has he been in prison? I'm not even sure. Let's say he's been there for 15. He got 10. And most of these infractions were tied to stupefiers. Oh, is that someone on, you know what? You know, I can't even describe it for the YouTube algorithm's going to punish me. But that's the scene of Danny Baudin, who was found in Saint-Frédéric in April of 2000, a quarter century ago. How quickly time flies, man. You know, centuries? This is a quarter century ago. According to certain reports, Dayle Fredette would have also been temporarily considered as a subject of interest in the trafficking of prescription medications, I guess. And it would have even been in the middle, it would have even been the origin of a brawl that happened in prison in 2019. So he was maybe trafficking prescription medication. I think what they do, that's what I heard. May not be, but I heard that you're in prison, you have psychological problems. Maybe you can even pretend to have them. And they prescribe stuff like candy in society these days. And they get a bunch of people addicted, but they don't even call it addiction anymore. They don't even call it dependence, you know? It's funny how it works these days. But they give you stuff, you're hooked. If you don't take them, you get brain zaps, you get problems like, I don't know what, you get a bunch of problems, but you're not dependent, man. They don't use that term, so they want you to think it's all good. But what happens, they go and they can get these prescriptions, whatever, and some of them, they take their prescriptions and they hustle it. They hustle it to other people now. So you're bored, you're in prison, time's passing really slow, you feel you were abandoned by society, F everything, there's no entertainment possible. So coffee's a big thing, you know, a little bit of dopamine boost, you feel happier, you have a little illusion of feeling good, etc. It makes the world of difference in there. Tobacco as well, but then I guess you can say prescription medications can also be part of the equation. Where are we? So yeah, the psychologist in 2024 evaluated him, and he has traces of absence of remorse or evidence or whatever, and he still keeps delaying, which I don't know what you call this, evading responsibility. He's not personally taking account of the responsibilities of the crimes that he committed. Remember, we're talking about murders, right? Accused of 16 of them. Was it? We read the number 16, right? He says he didn't own up to them. He's trying to push them off of him and towards saying well, it's not me. It's kind of the biker war thing. That's why these happened. But no, you made these happen. That's what the judge is trying to say. Says if this guy was really remorseful, it wouldn't be, yeah, that's what happens during the biker wars. Yeah, that's what happens. It's like, no. It's not just what happens. You killing people, bro. It's not the biker wars that does that. You wanted to get people killed. That's what the judge says. He has no remorse. He's not seeing it that way. He's pushing it off. Despite certain progress, despite certain progress that he has made mentally, I guess, he still feels a sentiment of injustice for having been in prison. While his acolytes or ex-acolytes or criminal partners, accomplices, have, in their case, they benefited of stop of procedures. So the Canada laws, we make fun of them. You can do anything in Canada these days. Well, his partners, we didn't really spend time talking about that because I can never come up with the details. I remember them, but remember there was mega trials for bikers, and I could just tell you, they may have even built big ass courtrooms or stadiums to have them, not stadiums, I'm exaggerating, but they may have even built a facility just to have all of them show up, have it be secure, and then have them tried. But they had to do the stop of procedures, get the thing thrown out for technicalities, waiting too long. I think it was because of waiting too long. It's some crazy stuff like this. How inefficient that we are all over the place. Sort of like everything, right? The justice system is the same. It's just one side of it. You go to the hospitals, it's another side of it. And then you see, well, how are they going to fix this? This is how they're going to fix this. They're going to bring in as many more people as they can from across the planet to come live here and burn the hospitals even more. That's the solution. That's how it works in Quebec. Nothing works. It's all over the place, and it's falling apart, and nobody's got balls to do anything. There you go. So the justice system, they also, in that other face, they also couldn't do anything. They wasted a bunch of tax money. And history repeats itself. All this stuff is just going to repeat itself in the future for various things. So, where were we here? This is so funny, man. So, yeah, I lost my train of thought. He says, absence of remorse. That was it. He has an absence of remorse. And then he feels that his buddies got away with it, but he did not. It's unfair, and I don't blame him. I completely get that. A mistake on the person. The judge, the well-loved judge. Yeah, I know. Someone's gonna say he's not well-loved. That's his name. The well-loved judge has recalled the circumstances, particularly I don't know how you say this in English. Troubling circumstances of the crime Fredette did. What is it? He crippled with rounds Danny Baudin. Right here you could see. And Danny Baudin was he was a mistaken identity. It was not the right person. Once again, history repeated itself. This last year, 2024, we had a bunch of mistaken identity people. The enemies of the Hells Angels were going for the attack. They at least hit one or two wrong people, and I covered that one to death with you. That always will repeat itself. Even in British Columbia, they killed that security guard, the Indo-Canadian security guard, and people were all suspicious that, you see, he was part of gangs. He wasn't. He was an innocent man. But they got the wrong person. So Danny Baudin had nothing. He died a quarter century ago for something that had nothing to do with him. That's a tragedy, man. So that was during the war between the Hells Angels and the Rock Machine. So they thought they were killing their enemies in the Rock Machine. They got Danny Baudin. That's him, the victim. Rest in peace, Danny Baudin. Probably a great guy. Picture of a quarter century ago. Now, yeah. Yeah, his family, they don't want him released. You can understand why, man. All right, main story number 2, the final story. 2 new names are added to the fugitives most wanted in Quebec. So we have Mr. Pierre Philogène. His name rings a bell because we read about him recently, but I don't remember. Him, I do remember a face. Mob related, there was remember they recently arrested Leonardo Rizzuto, Solecito, and a bunch of other dudes, I believe. Made huge headlines, remember, recently? And it was because Frederic Silva gave information to cops about a bunch of murders. Dozens of murders, I guess. And this man here, he's also wanted because of the Mafia Wars. I believe 2011-ish. And he's part of the plot somewhere. They got the other guys, but they didn't get him. So he's wanted as well. His name, forgive me, I'm looking for his name. I don't remember. Yeah, I definitely I would not have remembered his name. Gian Pietro Tiberio, 52 years old. He is actively wanted for murder and attempted murder. He is suspected of being implicated in the murder of Domenico Fachini and the attempted murder of Vito Di Orazio that happened in 2012 in Cafe Domenica Inn. Now, I cannot remember his story, so here's what I did so we can read it together. His name appears in this article, which goes back to June 13th. It's in English. I never look for articles in English. But today, that was what I found, and I wanted to somehow get some background information on. So his plot was 2012-ish, right? So I wanted a story that goes back to 2012-ish with the mob, and but that was recent enough. And plus, you got Paul Cherry. He's been doing this for a long freaking time. He's really good. This is gonna pay off. Honestly, this should pay off hard. It's about the also related to, because it's recent, of the mafia busts, and I actually searched for his name. I searched his name, and it landed me on this. So we're gonna learn about everything surrounding this mysterious wanted man. Okay, and we're gonna remember and we're gonna learn. So the operation is Project Alliance. Hitman may have played role in all 6 murders behind the Montreal mob arrests. Arrests of who? Of Leonardo Rizzuto, Solecito, and a few others, I guess. And they want him. I just want to recheck his name. I apologize. His name is Gian Pietro Tiberio, Mr. Tiberio. Okay, let's go. This one's going to be pretty fun to read. Pallbearers carry the casket of Lorenzo Lopresti. Yes, Vito Rizzuto is getting charged for Lorenzo Lopresti's death. I guess for plot. So this is his funeral. We got 2011 in St. Patrick's Basilica in downtown Montreal. Lopresti was shot while standing on the balcony of his condo in Côte Vertu Boulevard, his condo, in October 24th, 2011. On Thursday, June 12th, 2025, Leonardo was arrested. Yeah, there you go. That's what you got. When the 11 people arrested on Thursday in Project Alliance included Solecito, Leonardo, we know this, though they don't mention the other names. Now, the homicides happened over a decade ago. It appears that Frederic Silva, the hitman, years, me and you together, sorry, not numerous, 2-3 years together, all we had to go to run, us commoners, was on that. He somehow works for Gregory Woolley. He's under the umbrella. The photos show you how pictures say 1,000 words. You looked at that photo, you were almost certain of that. And it was not far from the truth, or it may have been partially the truth. This year, we found out it went even deeper than that. This year, we found out that Mr. Frederic Silva, about 2 decades ago, don't quote me on that, but it was many years ago, went to prison He was part of a street gang called Krasbiz or something like this, and went to prison. He befriended a mobster. It was either I can't recall who it was, but I think he met, maybe it was Solicito or his Solicito father. There's the son who's arrested now, and they have the father. I don't remember which one it was, but he befriended them. Ultimately, what happened is he befriended them, and they started to go on missions for them, and he gained their trust, and eventually he was part of their pipeline. Okay, until today, where he felt his life was in danger, and now he turned around and he's milking the situation and saving his butt, and he's also the cause of all these arrests that we're talking about right now. Okay, so sorry, I know it's convoluted. Now we go to this story. It's about what happened in 2011 for these guys to be arrested and for Frederic Silva to use this as his get out of jail free card. Maybe he's not getting out of jail. Maybe he's just gonna have a comfortable cell. I don't know. But let's see. What did he talk about? What info did he learn? Did he share? Okay, let's see. Lorenzo Lopresti, October 24, 2011. Lopresti was the son of Giuseppe Joe Lopresti, who was close to Leonardo Rizzuto's father. So he was close to Vito Rizzuto. They were friends. It's crazy how it's the father and the son. This pattern repeats itself so many times in this Italian mafia in Montreal saga. There's at least 3 or 4 different examples. You got Solicito dad, you got Solicito's son, you have Leonardo, you got Vito dad, and you got Leonardo's son, Rizzuto's. Then you had, man, why is it not coming to me, man? God damn it! There was another one. I have the picture of him in my head. We talk about him very often. It's not coming. I wish I could bring him up, but we're at 3 without remembering who it is. There was an example of a father and a son. We're at 3, and now we have the Loprestis. You had the father and you have the son. We're at 4 so far. Wonder if there's a 5th. Let's keep going. So Lopresti was the son of Giuseppe, okay, and the son of Joe, who was close friends to Vito Rizzuto, until Lopresti, the father, was killed in 1992. So this goes before the second generation Mafia Wars. Almost 2 decades before that second generation Mafia War, 1992, Lopresti, the father, was killed. So that's a long time ago, in a homicide that remains unsolved to this day. Both families lived on Antoine Berthelet Avenue. Now that's really interesting. Do you remember about 2 years ago I drew a map? I didn't draw a map, sorry. I showed you a map, and I tried to show you or teach you. There's a big street called Gouin. It's one of the longest streets in the island of Montreal. It will go from the eastern tip to the western tip, and Gouin it crosses many neighborhoods. It's at the very top of Montreal Island. It's like the last street. How you could say parallel, or is that the word? Parallel street. The very last one. Not a north to south one. It's a west to east street. At the very tip on the north. You get great views. You got expensive properties along the way, and it crosses numerous neighborhoods. It allows you to also travel through the island without being in the middle of it and all that traffic. Now, what I wanted to tell you is that street will cross this year, Antoine Berthelet, and it's a well-known joke. People call it Mafia Street. So that name, Mafia Street. Why Mafia Street? If you remember where Vito lived, the father, the grandfather, the original Rizzuto lived. They had homes there. You had the underboss who had a home on that street also, and other people must have had homes on that street also, I'm assuming. But here today you have one of their names. Now you find out Mr. Lopresti. He may have even raised his son on that street, maybe. But he definitely lived there also. He's a Lopresti. He lived there with them. He was killed in 1992. Both families lived on Mafia Street, Antoine Berthelet, in Montreal in Antique-Cartierville. By the way, Antique-Cartierville, same neighborhood where there's the highest number of criminal fires that I report with you at the heat of all the action. And I was telling you, this car's burning again. There's more cars burning. This is the neighborhood. Although no, they never burned nowhere near Mr. Rizzuto's family street. Okay, although it was never near there at all whatsoever. They live in a remote northern part of that neighborhood. Okay, let's keep going. Lorenzo Lopresti, this is going to be the son, attended the same high school in Saint-Laurent as Leonardo's sister. Throughout 2011, a coalition that tried to take control of the Montreal Mafia from the Rizzuto organization came under the attack. Lorenzo Lopresti was shot on October 24 while standing on the balcony of his condo on Côte Vertu Boulevard. So note they're saying here that a coalition that tried to take control of the mafia. This is the second generation Mafia Wars, 2011, when the Rizzuto came under attack. It's implying here, the way they wrote this, it's implying that there's a coalition that tried to take control of the Montreal Mafia, came under attack. And then they say, oh, by coincidence, Mr. Lorenzo Lopresti died on October 24. He got shot on his balcony. Okay, so you get what they're trying to say here. He may have been part of that coalition. Now, I don't know anything about any of these stories. My question is, was Mr. Lopresti somehow, did he involve himself in this coalition? Did it have anything at all to do in the 1992 murder of his father? You know, that's my first question. That's something that you need to ask here. The reason I say this is because this, in the same plot, in the same mafia war here, there was another thing exactly similar in the first generation Mafia Wars when Mr. The old grandfather Rizzuto, when he was at the helm, and there was the Calabrians versus the Sicilians, and the Sicilians wanted to take over. The Rizzutos wanted to take over. The old family that was here, was it the Cotronis with the Violi? And I seem to recall Desjardins' godfather, it was Mr. The name's not coming, man. I talked about him just last episode, I think. Why does the name come? When I want it, I can't remember. That was a big head. A big freaking head. He was a really really close partner of the legendary Vic Cotroni. His name's not coming to me. Having a really hard time. I wish I could. It's too important to not recall his name. Someone knows. Very important. Probably the most important name to say here. But all right, I have no choice. We'll just say that guy. That guy, his basically Cotroni was in control, and they went to a war with Rizzuto. Rizzuto killed Mr. Violi, and he took over. They had no choice in the matter after. Then what happened is I guess they didn't really have a choice. They accepted the new ruler, and they went along with it. This opposition went along with it. It was no longer an opposition. And that bubbled in. For 2-3 decades. And then we had the second generation Mafia Wars. People plotted that they thought it was a good time to attack Mr. Rizzuto, and they went out and they went looking for you're not just going to do this out of thin air all by yourself. You're going to go talk to everyone else, and you're going to try to make a consent with everyone else that this is time. How about it? Well, the people who got shafted last time were part of this second generation Mafia Wars. They okayed it. It's like they jumped on this opportunity. They did it. They went for it. So for 3 decades, all was good. They abandoned the idea. They gave up on it. But they were seemingly friendly, and they were seemingly going along, even calling Rizzuto one of their best friends. And that's Rénal Desjardins. Not the exact wording, but he was talking about Mr. Vito Rizzuto like he was the man. He's dear friend, etc. But once this plot was put on the table, at a moment of weakness, once this plot was on the table, somehow they quickly pounced on it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you here. Is it possible, if Mr. Lopresti's father had anything, if his death had anything to do with the Rizzutos in 92, could it be he pounced on this opportunity when it showed up at his door? Did he pounce on it? Well, anyways, it didn't pay off. Looks like during this second generation, they targeted him. In 2011, they killed him on his balcony. He got shot. Throughout 2011, a coalition that tried to take control of the Montreal Mafia from the... Yeah, we read that one, right? My apologies. Weeks after Lopresti was killed, Tony Suzuki was wounded in an offing attempt on December 13th, 2011. So close. Near the entrance of a Portuguese restaurant in a strip mall on Jerry Street. Now, last year, just to note this, interesting fact, almost 1 year ago, Mr. Anthony Suzuki was a target of a hit on him a second time, and it totally failed. But they tried to kill him again. So, you do the math here. And note the street here, Jarry Street. Didn't we just mention a shooting on Jarry Street on a Commerce? Right? Not too long ago. Isn't that interesting, huh? At the time, the police sources told in the Italian neighborhood just to be clear here. At the time, police sources told Gazette that it appears Lopresti was acting as Pietrantonio's right-hand man. So that's what it is. So the son, Lopresti, was acting as Pietrantonio's right-hand man, while Pietrantonio, Mr. Suzuki, was one of the leaders of the group that sought to replace the Rizzuto organization at the helm of the Montreal Mafia. There you go. This explains so much. This explains so many things. So I don't think it's just a new enemy that targeted him last year. Just somebody else, unrelated. I don't think so. I think I think it's probably has to do with some of the same people. This blood rivalry that it cannot be forgiven until the end. That's what it looks to me when reading all this. But what do I know? On Thursday, Rizzuto and 6 other men were charged for the first-degree murder of Lorenzo Lopresti. Yeah, as much as we talked about Lopresti right now, it's like he came back alive. I have to remember he's dead. He's actually dead. It's a long time ago now. And let me just read. On Thursday, Leonardo and 6 other men were charged with the first-degree murder of Lorenzo Lopresti and with plotting with Silva to murder Pietrantonio. With Silva. Now, interesting, huh? So Mr. Silva was part of the plot to have Lopresti killed. That's what. So was he also part of the plot to have Mr. Pietrantonio killed? No, it does say I forgot. I didn't read it correctly. Pietrantonio as well. So he was. It's insane. I told you, someday we get all the answers. It will come on a silver platter. Me and you, we spend months reading. It's all murky. It's all mysterious. But then eventually, someone ties it all up together, and it's just amazing to watch. And then you can read about some random... what is it? You can read about some random shooting at what looks like a cafe or bar in Saint-Leonard on Jarry Street East. In Saint-Leonard, and then you can wonder if it has anything to do with it. You start to say it's not possible for all these coincidences. Now, Domenico Fachini was killed at a cafe in Saint-Leonard in 2012. So, see the importance of knowing the neighborhood You got the street name like this, something so mundane with no information at all. It becomes striking when you read something old after a while. Domenico Fachini, December. So they were listing people who got killed, so that these mob heads are being arrested for recently. So we finished Lorenzo Lopresti, 2011 October. Then a year later, so this is a year and 2 months later, December 2012, Domenico Fachini. Fachini, 37, was killed, and Vito Di Orazio was injured by rounds inside a building that is tied to Giuseppe Ponytail Devito, who at the time was serving a lengthy sentence for smuggling cane through the Pierre-Elliott Airport, Elliott Trudeau Airport. He had a plug inside the airport, some employee, I guess, and the employee was coordinating to allow or to bring in the load. And Giuseppe was the man for the job. And Giuseppe was part of the coalition that wrestled to take the Rizzutos out. And he was on the run. While he was on the run, his wife was raising their kids. And Giuseppe likes to spread his seeds all over the place, you know. He drove his wife crazy. And his wife, because she wanted revenge so badly against what he did to her, by law in court, it's not her, right? By law in court, it's not her. She's innocent now. First, she was guilty. The judge said nobody else sneaked into your house and wanted to kill these two kids. You know, Vito Rizzuto and his mafia clan did not plot to come in your home and to use, I don't know what it was, gas, whatever method of killing they used for the children to die. Vito Rizzuto and the mafia had nothing to do with it, you know? Logic would tell you this, but it had to be you, basically. And then they sentenced her, and then it was, wait a sec, but you're a woman, you're a mother. We need to give you another chance. Let's have another trial. They did a second trial. She got convicted again. It was no doubt it was her to them. And then they said, wait a sec, but for real, though, she's a woman. She can't be her fault. She's not. It's just not possible. Let's give her a third try. And the third try said, well, we might as well let her go. She's not guilty. Vito must have wanted to kill their children or something. It had to be something like that. It just can't be the mom who did it out of anger and losing her mind. But that's the story we covered. We read about together. I think she's out now. She's free, you know. But Giuseppe finally got caught while he was on the run. I think he even filmed himself on the run, right? Wasn't there a video of him while he was on run, living in a luxury condo somewhere, hiding for like a year or two in Ontario? Maybe the Calabrians were hiding him there. And anyways, he got arrested. He got put in prison, and he mysteriously died of a cyanide poisoning. So you do the math, man. He died of cyanide poisoning inside of prison. Where are we? We were at... Oh, there you go. So Devito had acted as a leader of several airport employees who were part of what was called the Door that let cane into Montreal. Devito came to hate the Rizzuto organization because he felt its members lied to him about the quantities of cane they were bringing in, thereby holding back on his share in their arrangement. Okay. Devito became part of the coalition that wanted to take over the Montreal Mafia, but on July 8, 2013, he was found dead in his cell he died of cyanide poisoning. Yes, we just said that. On Thursday, I gotta keep the good stuff, man. On Thursday, 3 men were charged with Fachini's murder and the attempted murder of Di Orazio, one of the accused, Jean-Ismaël Zephyr. So here you have a street gang boss, OG, 48, Haitian guy. His name goes back to the late 90s. He's a legend in that in the underworld, and I think he's got brothers. It's not just him. He has a brother or two. Well known. This would be pals with, I think he would be pals with Gregory Woolley. They would recognize each other going back a long time, very long time. And you see the age checks out. So, one of the people accused is Jean Ismael, or Ismael, I think it's a mistake. Maybe they wrote his name wrong, or maybe I remember it wrong. One of the accused, Jean Ismael Zephyr, 48, is the brother of Emmanuel Zephyr, a notorious street gang leader. Okay, that's it. Emmanuel Zephyr. Replace what I said for the other brother. It's this one here. In 2022, Sébastien Giroux, who had just pled guilty to helping Silva hide from police for months while he was on run, was ordered to not associate with known criminals while he was waiting his sentence. Giroux agreed to follow the order, but he asked for a special permission to allow him to communicate with the Zephyr brothers. Interesting. Why should he have special permission to communicate with the Zephyr brothers? Now, 2 other men were charged with murder. So in this operation, we had the mafia heads that are arrested. Project Alliance? And we know it's for Lorenzo Lopresti's murder, the attempts on Pietro Antonio. We know this. What else? Just trying to make a summary here. Domenico Fachini's death, Vito Di Orazio, and okay, we're good so far. And that was all. So far, it was Leonardo being charged and Solicito being charged. That's how as much as I remember. But there's new names that are being charged. Interesting. The other 2 men charged with murder and attempted murder are Gian Pietro Tiberio. Remember? Oh, shoot, see, it's amazing. Remember, the reason we came to this article was he's on the run, and we asked ourselves, well, who is this guy? What was this all about? So we had to read this very convoluted storyline plot, go back to the past, put stuff together from first generation Mafia Wars lessons, and mix them up with this second generation Mafia Wars, which the story is really about, why these people were arrested today. But now the plot thickens even more. So let's continue. The other 2 men charged with the murder and attempted murder are Gian Pietro Tiberio, the guy I just showed you, the reason for us to get to this article, a convicted criminal identified during the Charbonneau Commission as an associate of the Rizzuto organization. Now, Charbonneau Commission, if I recall correctly, those people who have no idea, you're not from Quebec, or maybe you forgot like me, I sort of remember, I think they were investigating fraud or corruption inside of province of Quebec. What a surprise. And there's a saying here in Quebec that spread out for a very long time. The commoners, probably you heard about this once, is that you look at our streets. This is like maybe it's a joke, maybe there's truth in it, but there's like a sort of a saying around here that was spreading for a while, that you look at the streets where you drive on the road, you see potholes everywhere, you see the cement is horrible quality, and you wonder why it happened like this. And there's like an old saying that, well, it all comes from the mafia. They're using the cheapest thing possible and they're milking this for money. You're not actually getting quality work. So Charbonneau Commission, I think, if I'm not mistaken, had to do with corruption and how they would grease money or infiltrate. Was it the real estate market and they may have been paying. I don't know how this whole system works. I can't. I was never too into it, but I'm sure some of you already have an idea. It's a pattern that repeats itself in New York and other places. So there was a commission, an inquiry against all of this stuff. It says, there you go, Max, thank you. He says, sorry, I didn't check your messages for a long time, everyone. But he's giving a good reply here. He says, the commission d'enquête is for the management of public contracts for the industry of construction. There you go. I couldn't have worded that elegant that way. Thank you, Max the Youth, Mr. Forever Young, but with the brain of a wise old man. So, Max, we're here with... Where were we? 2 other men charged with the murder and attempted murder are Gian Pietro Tiberio, 52, identified during Charbonneau Commission as an associate of the Rizzuto organization. And then we have Patrick Gilbert, 51, of Anjou. So you got non-Italian name here, Patrick Gilbert. So these are other people being charged in Project Alliance. So you got Leonardo Rizzuto arrested lately. You had Solicito arrested lately. Well, these are other people's names or people who should be arrested. Tiberio is still on the run, I think, right? I think he's still on the run based on what we read. Yeah, most wanted. But the other guys, they probably are arrested, right? Patrick Gilbert has a lengthy criminal record. So who is Patrick Gilbert? I guess it has something to do with this photo. Now, looking at this photo, you could tell this is the 1990s. You have the famous cop investigator, the one who was assigned Carcajou against the bikers. 90s, there was the war between the Hells Angels and the Rock Machine, and the Hells Angels had their underling clubs, such as they do today. But this was another era of the 90s. There was only Caucasian males. There was one single exception. His name was Gregory Woolley. He made history. And he made history in this very club you see here, the Rockers MC. It could be described if you want, but there's a lot of evidence for it. And it could be described as and I don't use this lightly. That's my opinion on this. It could be described as the hitman for the Hells Angels, the hit team of the Hells Angels, basically. I know some people want to say just like riding motorcycles, and they like to embellish things, or I don't care. That's how I feel about it. After learning everything I could throughout the years, decades, that's my assessment. These were the hitmen of the Hells Angels. So here you got their patches. On the right here is Ace Larivière. Currently, he is a Hells Angels, and he's at the top of the leadership. Okay? The guy on the right, though. Oh, there's a description. Jean-Richard Larivière on the right, member of the Hells Angels currently, was arrested in this operation. Not the operation in the photo. This is old. I'm talking about the operation with Leonardo Rizzuto and all of them. This one that's just happened, Project Alliance. In this photo, they attend the funeral of a Hells Angel in April of 2000. Again, quarter century ago. The same era as Dayle Fredette. So if you compare apples to apples, Dayle Fredette would have been these men's or Ace Larivière's superior, no? Or if he was a Hells Angels in 2000. Maybe not, actually. I have to be careful here. Maybe not. But yeah, we're not going to go back to the story to dissect that and try to make sure, although I would have. But because we're in another storyline, it's going to be beside the point. Let's go. With him are David Lefebvre wearing a Rockers patch. Now, I think they're both wearing it. I cannot 100% confirm the other guy. Maybe it's just a leather jacket. But let's see. So, to his right. So, his right would probably be this guy. He's in the center, and I believe this guy would be to his left. That guy's going to be to his right. So, with him are David Lefebvre wearing a jacket of the Rockers. And to his right is another rocker, Vincent Lamer. Now, this is tough. I don't know if they're saying to the right of this guy is him. Or they literally mean to the right of Larivière. I'm not sure. Depending on how you want to see this. But someone will recognize the face and he'll tell us. So all I could tell you is there's a Vincent Lamer and David Lefebvre here. Larivière was charged. Okay. In the death of Lamer. So, wow. So recently, wow, in this whole thing, on June 12th, 2025, Larivière here, he's a Hells Angels today, he's actually charged with the murder of someone in this photo whom he calls his brother. Isn't that crazy? Whom he called his brother to the death once upon a time. Crazy. He's finally being charged. So he's in this old photo together, and he's being charged with one of their murders. Well, you know, that wouldn't be the first time this exact scenario happened. About 5 years ago, you had another rocker like this, same patch. And they sent the coalition of the Mafia bikers, while I think they were working together at the time before they got into this argument, when Frederic Silva was in the middle of it. I think they sent Frederic Silva to go kill the rocker. I think his name was. Well, okay, it's been too long. I can't remember his name. It's like. No, I can't remember his name, unfortunately. But you'll have to take my word for it. They dispatched someone. So they dispatched to kill one of their own. Well, someone who used to be a rocker, part of their crew, their group. They wanted him dead, and they did kill him. So, who's Vincent Lamer? Vincent Lamer died on November 3rd, 2017. During Quebec's biker war, a conflict stretched from 1994 to 2002, Lamer appeared to be a very willing participant in the violence that had 160 deaths. Lamer started as a member of the Rowdy Crew, a Hells Angels support club at the time, before he switched to another support club, the Rockers, in 2000. Being part of the Rockers brought Lamer directly under Hells Angels leader Maurice Montboucher and his efforts to monopolize stupefy trafficking in Montreal. During an investigation dubbed Operation Springtime 2001, police managed to secretly record meetings held by rockers during one in April 2000. Lamer told the other gang members that they could skip the gang's 8-month probation period if they killed a rival stupefier dealer. Lamer ended up with a 10-year prison term when he was sentenced as a result of charges filed in Operation Springtime 2001. Lamer was shot several times while he was waiting inside his sport utility vehicle as he was driving away from a maintenance company where he worked on 55th Avenue in Rivière-des-Prairies. Wow, this must be an old picture. 2018. There you go. The name of the guy that I wanted to tell you. Remember, just a few moments ago, I told you the other ex-rocker who got killed? Sébastien Beauchamp. There you go, Sébastien Beauchamp. But we're skipping a beat here. That's not who they're talking about. They're saying that Lamer died in 2017 when he was leaving his job, his work in RDP, and they waited for him, and then they ambushed him while he was in his vehicle. Or maybe he set up a meeting and they set him up, they killed him there. Now, continuing, so Lamer, old buddy of Larivière here. So it's one of these two. He got killed. And they're charging Larivière for that. Now, Jean-Richard Larivière, 57, a longtime member of the Hells Angels and a member of the Rockers, when Lamer was also a member, was charged on Thursday with first-degree murder of Lamer. He is also charged with conspiring to kill Lamer along with Sammy Tamuro. Remember Sammy, who got killed in Mexico when he had to flee once, what's his name? Once Frederic Silva got caught, he had to flee. And once they found out Frederic Silva was cooperating with the police, well, his friend was a marked man also. And he got killed in a gym in Mexico. So what they were saying here? My apologies. There's just so many details, you get lost in your train of thought and you try to piece everything together. So we know Jean Riviere's a Hells Angels member. He was a member of the Rockers with Lamer. And he is also charged with conspiring to kill Lamer along with Sammy Tamuro. So they're charging Larivière of conspiring to kill Sammy Tamuro. Is that it? Who was killed in Mexico. I guess that's what it means. I guess. Look at that. Shootout in a scene in 2018 that took the lives of Sébastien Beauchamp. So first they killed the first ex-rocker in 2017. And then a year later, they killed the other ex-rocker, Sébastien Beauchamp. And looked at the neighborhood. You see Saint-Leonard appearing again. Now, Sébastien Beauchamp, December 20th, 2018. During 2022, Silva underwent a lengthy trial for the murder of Beauchamp, who, like Lamer, was a former member of the Rockers. Yeah, we told you that. The hit on Beauchamp was a messy affair. Silva chased Beauchamp around the gas station in Saint-Leonard on L'Angelier Boulevard. He recklessly fired off several shots. A stray round ended up lodged in a gas pump. Beauchamp's murder is one of the reasons why Silva is now serving a life sentence. Larivière is charged with Beauchamp's murder, so he's also tied to Beauchamp's murder. A sign that he allegedly asked Silva to off him. That's crazy, man. So you can't really be partners or friends with him for too long. Eventually, it catches up to you. Doesn't matter how many years of friendship you have. It's time for you to go. Earlier the same year, on January 24th, 2018, Jean-Guy Bourgoin, another former member of the Rockers, look at that. Look how close that is. It's like a month later, after Beauchamp. Another former member of the Rockers was shot outside a restaurant in Saint-Leonard. Again, Saint-Leonard. It appears that Larivière allegedly ordered that offing, too, as he was charged with the attempted murder on Thursday. Damn, man, he's buried. They got so many on him. Whew. So it takes, look at how many people friends with him, or they go back to the 90s. It's crazy. You see how, when people say Hells Angels is just a club of people riding their motorcycles. Doesn't seem like that. Motorcycles it seems like it's like fashion only. It's just an extra. But they also say they're friends forever, friend for life, or whatever. Man, you think you go back 30 years, you kill everyone who goes back 30 years with you. And where are we? In 2020, Girard Anglade, a close associate of Silva, pled guilty to offing Bourgoin. I remember we read this one. Anyways, I'm going to just continue. We're not going to reread this. It's just the same summary that we just spoke about. Oh, it continues. Who else got killed? Gaëtan Sévigny, October 17th, 2019. During Operation Mago Massif, another investigation into Leonardo Rizzuto, Stefano Solicitos, this is an older operation, guys, and I always talk about this operation. The investigators at that time learned that Sévigny was tied to the biker gang and that he was a very active stupefire trafficking in eastern Montreal. So he was tied to the Hells Angels, Mr. Gaëtan Sévigny, okay? On June 19th, 2019, Sévigny was sentenced to 5 years prison term after he pled guilty. Okay, I'm just want to keep... 4 months later, he was offed downtown. Oh, no, he was offed down in front of his home in Terrebonne. So he pled guilty, and then they killed him. That's interesting. That's all it takes? You can't even plead guilty? You can't even plead guilty. What are you supposed... All right. So is this a really good idea to be a stupefire trafficker for these guys? Just like that. Unbelievable. He did his sentence and then he got offed. Unbelievable. So who wants to join the Hells Angels pipeline here? Who wants to do it? There's literally no payoff. Let's keep going. Charles-Olivier Bouchard Savard, December 22nd, 2021. Oh, by the way, Larivière is also charged with Sévigny's murder. Got it. Now, Boucher Savard was shot multiple times near La Fontaine Park. So La Fontaine Park should be in Mont-Royal neighborhood, that bohemian neighborhood that's always alive every moment of the day. There's that famous Bunky's restaurant where I don't like it too much. I think it's overrated. The poutine's not that good. The one in front of it, the Portuguese one, is much better. But sorry about that. That La Fontaine Park. A few months after, he says, so he was shot multiple times near La Fontaine Park. A few months after he was released from a federal pen. Yes, we read that story. I remember. He had served 2/3 of his sentence he received for shanking a person tied to the Lupino family, a mafia clan based in Hamilton. We did read this. Absolutely, we read this when we covered the Hamilton underworld only once, not on the entire underworld, just the Lupino thing, a family or I forgot was it Pat Musitano. We tried to cover that only one time about a year or 2 years ago. I remember. So that guy. So he had served his sentence for the shanking, and then he got released, and eventually he got shot near La Fontaine Park. Pietro D'Adamo. Now this name is special. He's come up in the news many times. Last year he was named in a cocaine. I can't say the word. In a cane ring in the southwest of Montreal. He got busted. It was really big. And then not even a year later, they were still on him, and they busted him in the same. His name came up, same neighborhood, another cane ring, twice in the same year, man. That guy. They suspect him of being tied to the Sicilians. So Pietro D'Adamo, the alleged leader of the Mafia clan in La Salle, and David Baldi Barberio, an alleged member of the Montreal Mafia who survived an attempt on his life when he was shot up in September 21, 2021, was charged on Thursday with Boucher Savar's murder with 3 other men. So Pietro D'Adamo was also charged. That's great. You should have put this at the beginning of the article when our brain was fresh. This was very important. So he did get charged, and David Barberio also got charged. But we knew this. They already mentioned it before. This is not new. But it's good because I only had 2 names that would pop up in my mind. There you go. God, that was a long-ass episode. To read all of this, and not just to read it, but really to remember previous things for you, to add value to all this. And also I have local knowledge of the areas, of the places, familiarity, and I think that makes it even better, even more interesting. Shout out to Paul Cherry. He killed it. Thanks to him. Thanks this guy for producing this amazing, impressive. Didn't I tell you he was gonna kill it? Thank him for making this possible. I think he's from the Irish community here. Yeah, he's been doing this for a long time. He knows what we're looking for. He kills this. All right, an hour and 27 minutes. Let me just end this with shout outs of the people in the chat and people that I can sort of remember. You saw my memory's bad. Shout out to Middleman, Wes Dozer, Adam's Family, Rogers. That's as far as my memory goes. That sucks. What's his name? Bobby Bright. All right, people in the chat. At least I can see you and remember. Shout out to Bull, Ryan C, Rodney Stubbert, Maxim the Youth, CO. What's up, buddy? What's up? Right back at you. Daniel Gould. Thank you, Daniel Gould. Mountain Woman. Almost forgot Mountain Woman. Marcel Mathers, of course. Thank you, Marcel Mathers. Sleeping Joe. Sleeping Joe, huh? 7 p.m. You're still here, bud. I appreciate that. And 518 Choppers, New York. What's up, buddy? Bless you. Thank you, bud. And where are we at? Did I miss anyone? Chris Inslee, of course. Chris Inslee. I almost missed you. There you are. And Mr. Green Thumb. Also, what's up, Green Thumb? And yes, thank you, Anthony Serrano, as well. Thank you so much, Anthony. Mr. Anthony Serrano. And where did I get? Did I miss anybody? Yeah, I think I got the names of everyone in the chat. And also the silent people. Also you. Thanks a lot, Belle. Thank you for being here. And hope you enjoyed it. If you find this informative, you know what to do, man. You know what to do exactly. Help your uncle out a little bit. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.